Welcome to Mystere Creations. I'm your host AJ. Today I'm talking to Dr. Sahar Sam from Solaires. They have created a solar ink which will revolutionize the solar power industry. It not only will increase the power generation of current technology, but it will allow for small devices to charge while sitting on the tabletop. I'll include a link to their company page in the show notes. This is an episode to listen to and a company to support. Please join Sahar and I for our discussion about solar ink. Welcome, Sahar. It's good to have you on the show.
So much for having me.
So you represent Solaires. Am I saying that correctly?
Well, the correct way of pronouncing it is Solaires.
Solaires. It's the French.
Exactly.
I looked at it as Spanish because Solaires would be the Spanish.
Right.
It's kind of cool how language does that. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and Solaires?
Of course. Well, I'm Sahar. I'm the co-founder and chief science officer at Solaires. I'm originally from Iran. I moved to Canada about 11 years ago, and I started my PhD at University of Victoria, and I finished it in around 2015. My background is more into material science engineering, and I developed the technology for flexible electronics. All the time, I always wanted to use my education and experience to make the world a better place for future generations to live in. And that's how Solaires was born. And Solaires is a clean tech company that is developing the next generation of solar panels that are more efficient and more affordable compared to the current solar panels that are available in the market. Our mission is to make solar energy more accessible to everyone and help reduce our planet's carbon footprint.
That's wonderful. So what is solar ink?
To explain solar ink, I need to explain a little bit how solar panels work. Inside each solar panel is a semiconductor material that basically absorbs the light and generates free electrons or electricity. Currently, silicon is the main component for solar panels. Silicon comes from silica sand that needs to be highly purified. And the purification process happens at 1,000 degrees Celsius. The fabrication process for silicon solar cells is complex and produce high greenhouse gas emissions. That's the irony part, that we want to reduce the GHG, but the fabrication process itself generates carbon footprint. Our solar ink can replace silicon as the main component of solar panels. The solar ink is based on a promising and emerging material called perovskite, which we need a very thin layer of it in our solar panels, almost 1,000 times thinner than silicon. Solar panels made from solar ink will be therefore flexible, lighter, and have higher energy conversion efficiency, means that they can generate more power compared to current solar panels.
So roughly about, is it roughly about double the efficiency?
Exactly. Yeah, the efficiency, theoretically, it can be double the power that current solar panels are generating. We're working towards it. We're not there yet, but it can generate 2 times higher power.
That's wonderful. What applications can solar ink be used in other than just the standard solar panel?
Right. Solar ink can enable manufacturing of thin solar panels that can be applied to any surfaces. It could be your car or even your cell phone. Our technology enables future innovations such as IoT devices, e-mobility, electric vehicles, and building integrated photovoltaics applications, which basically integrating solar panels to buildings, for example, to windows or building facades. That helps increase the range for electric vehicle, or also charge any electronic devices from indoor or outdoor light.
That's wonderful. I saw one where the application was used to charge a Tesla.
Right.
And that to me, to be able to charge your car anywhere, it gives the full range and reason for having a vehicle that's electric. You can go anywhere. You don't have to worry about having to stop off at a charge station.
Yes,
which would be great. There's other applications like in technologies like hyperloop technology. They could apply your solar ink to the structure, and be able to generate enough electricity to run the system without having to have solar panels everywhere around it to do it.
Right. There are so many different applications, as you mentioned, that this solar ink and the generated like light and flexible solar panels using our solar ink, how it can actually transform the way that we are using our devices, or, for example, the way that we're looking at energy sources. So that's the goal for us. We're trying to change the vision, and we're trying to introduce a new technology that basically makes the life easier for everyone.
Yes, it does. Well, we already talked about how efficient it is. In numeric form, how efficient is the energy conversion of the solar ink?
Right. So basically right now, for example, solar panels that we have, they have the efficiency of around 15 to 19%. Right now in the lab, we make solar panels or solar cells that are generating about 22% of power, like energy conversion efficiency. And we can use several layers of this material on top of each other that helps improving the power generation. And this way we can increase the power up to 2 times higher than what we can get from silicon.
That's wonderful. And it still maintains its flexibility, right?
Right. Yes. Yeah. That happens because we use very thin layer of this material, and even when we're stacking it, still the thickness is less than the thickness of silicon solar panels.
So it would reduce the weight.
Definitely.
And the production of the solar ink, how green is that process?
Yeah, the product will basically reduce the steps for fabrication of solar panels. So we basically use temperatures less than 1,000 degrees. So I mentioned that for silicon, for purification process, we are using 1,000 degrees centigrade or Celsius. We're using the maximum temperature that we are using for fabricating our solar cells is maximum 150 degrees. Fabrication of material itself, for example, solar ink compared to silicon, it's much easier. We synthesize that solar ink in our lab. It doesn't, basically, we don't need to extract the silica from the earth. Therefore, like the whole process is way more cost effective. And also we use plastic foils. We can use plastic foils to make our solar cells or solar panels, which means that we can also use materials that are less costly compared to glass, which silicon used as a substrate to make solar panels. So that also helps not only the cost, but also it helps the lightweight and flexibility of the final solar panels.
That's awesome. How will solar ink be usable in mini chargers like your cell phone? What you said you would be able to do that.
Yeah.
For what size would you need to power a cell phone?
Yeah, so yeah, absolutely. That's definitely possible. So the power generation, usually what we think about solar panels, we think about something that is limited to outdoor because it needs sunlight.
Mm-hmm.
But with our technology or with the material that we are using, the electricity can be generated from indoor light, and you can charge your phone or smartwatch without plugging them into the grid. Which means next time when you're texting or calling your loved ones, your phone won't run out of charge. Or when you're working out at the gym in the middle of your workout, your smartwatch won't fail you counting your calories. So these are the benefits of these material. In fact, one of the big audacious goal that we have for next 10 years is that we want anything that currently needs to plug into the grid for charging will no longer need it, as it will be charged by outdoor or indoor lights. So your cell phone that you showed me, we can basically cover the back side of your cell phone. And whenever you're typing, you're calling, or you basically leave your phone on the desk, it is still charging. So
you could basically make a cell phone case that's a solar charger. That's wonderful.
Exactly.
That would revolutionize the industry right there by itself. And I hope you're able to get there sooner, particularly for that, because my power bill has gone up by 30%.
Oh, it's not only yours.
Devices.
For sure.
Standard solar panels are quite heavy. We talked about how it reduces the weight.
Mm-hmm.
In the standard, what's the weight of a standard solar cell usually? It's like a 75, 100 pounds.
Yeah, they're around that time and around that weight. And to compare the weight, we have to basically compare like the material that we're using, compare the substrate that we're using. So as I mentioned, because we're using like very thin layer, and also we can use plastic foil for substrate to make solar panels on top of that, we basically can reduce the weight of solar panels way more than what we can imagine or what we can get from current solar panels, which means that, for example, next time if someone wants to install solar panels on their roof, they don't need to go through that hassle of permitting. And I mean, it makes it easier to be able to install it on their roof or even under walls, like because it is very light, it can be installed in a vertical position. So it doesn't need to be like installed kind of horizontally. It can be installed vertically. So makes everything easier in terms of getting the permit and making sure that the structure of the buildings is supporting the weight for the solar panels.
That's cool. I while you were talking, I had an idea. Roof tiles. You could literally make the solar panel a roof tile.
Right. Correct.
And
yeah.
How durable is the ink once it's cured?
Right. So yeah, that's actually there are several companies, including Tesla, that are thinking they're working towards making thin solar panels, like flexible solar panels. And yes, basically, it is possible to use different technology to make thin and flexible solar panels. The good thing about this material that we're using is that it not only enables light and flexible solar panels, it also still generates higher power. There are some technologies that are low cost and they can be flexible, but it's still the power that you're getting out of those technologies is not comparable to what we can get from silicon. So I always say that like perovskite or material that we're using has lots of potential because it not only surpassed the energy conversion efficiency or power generation of current material, which is silicon, but also it adds all those elements and features such as being light, being flexible, and in some cases it can be also translucent, means that when you install it on your window, you can still enjoy the natural light while your window acts as basically a solar panel and it generates electricity for you. So those are the possibilities that this material actually brings to the market.
Excellent. What are your plans for products and the cell phone we talked about? Are you going to be producing different products like that and solar panels?
Right. So right now our target is basically more innovative markets. We're not targeting, for example, utility applications because we want to enter a market that is easier to enter and is basically those markets' current technology, because of its limitation, will not be able to address those needs. For example, like the cell phone case, or for example, the case for electric vehicles. For example, if we want to have an electric vehicle or cover the electric vehicle with a solar panel, the whole purpose is to be able to increase the range, driving range for that car. But if that solar panel adds to the weight of the car, then whatever is generated, basically, it will be very minimal.
Yeah.
But having a lightweight solar panels will help increase the range by generating power, but also it doesn't add much to the weight of the basically electric vehicle. So those are the kind of an industry, or those are kind of a market that we're targeting right now. Okay. And while when the technology improves, and also when we are able to get more kind of efficiency and lifetime from our product, then we will be able to go to larger market, for example, the utility market. And this way we will be able, and I'm not saying that silicon will die soon, because silicon has improved a lot during 50 years. And we're still going to be dependent to silicon. It's just there are some markets that silicon cannot really enter because of its limitation. And those are the ones that we're trying to enter. And there is also another aspect that we can add this material to silicon. And this way we can also improve the current solar panels, improve the performance of current solar panels. So it doesn't mean that silicon necessarily is going to basically disappear. Exactly. It will be these two together, silicon and perovskite together, can generate more power. And this way we can use the basically have a sustainable energy and use the silicon and perovskite together to generate more power.
So you guys have a bright future ahead of you with this. I'm wondering how much more you will be able to do in the next 10 years, because you're not going to stay static on what you're doing right now. It's going to build, and you'll, right, as you're experimenting with the process, it will become more efficient. What's your so one of your goals is in 10 years to have something that can be used in the utility market as well. But what's your plan over the next 10 years?
Right. So right now, what we have as a product is our ink. Our ink is one of the components for making solar panels. So in parallel to developing a better ink, we are working on developing our own manufacturing process for making the flexible and light solar panels, which we call it PV film. So we are going to develop that technology, and in next 2 to 3 years, we are going to license that technology to manufacturers. So we're not going to be a solar panel manufacturer. We develop the technology and we license that technology to basically solar panel manufacturers. And for the goal for our 10 years is basically work on the technology, improve the power generation or efficiency, as well as the lifetime of our solar panels to be able to enter any market possible. Like even with, for example, the current electric vehicle market, improving the efficiency, improving the power generation will help basically public belief into electric vehicles, because that's the big dilemma when someone wants to buy an electric vehicle. From one side, they want to help the environment. From the other side, they're always worried that if I'm taking the car, I always have to be worried about how much charge I have. Where's the next station for charging my car? So we're basically trying to improve and develop the technology to be able to enter any market and improve the performance of our solar panels.
I hope that you're able to get everything that you need to get there. The broader scope of what you're doing is it's going to kind of revolutionize the system in the next 10 years. Just by licensing it out to manufacturers, you won't have to directly work on the cell phone case. You can give them the material to be able to do it themselves. And well, that puts you in the center of all of that, and which means that as they grow, you'll grow. And I'm hoping that is the case. So can you explain some of the technology part of the ink and the process, please?
Sure, yeah. So the material itself, perovskite, is I have to say that if someone look for it, they will realize that it's been around for a very long time. Like it was actually discovered around in 18th centuries. It's a kind of a mineral that we have on the earth. However, what we use basically the same structure. It is called a crystal structure, but we are using different components. So perovskite is a general name for materials that when they crystallize, they create a perovskite crystal form.
Okay.
So one kind of a research that we are focusing on is to choose the components that actually, when we are mixing them together and when we crystallize them, they generate higher electricity when they absorb the light. So that's one of the basically innovation that we had. We were able to reformulate the perovskite ink that we have to make it basically to be able to generate more power from it. The other thing is that one of the obstacles for perovskite to be able to go to market is its stability. Perovskite is a very sensitive material to humidity. When it's exposed to humidity, it basically starts the degradation process inside perovskite. And if that happens, then the energy or power generation declines. Yeah. So we were able to use some additives and some basically materials or components in our solar ink that delays that kind of a reaction between water and our perovskite ink. And this way we are able to use our perovskite ink in our ambient condition, which means that doesn't matter what the humidity is around us. Sometimes during the summer, we have really humid kind of environment in the lab. But we are still able to make the ink, and the ink doesn't degrade or doesn't go bad when it is exposed to humidity. That actually is right now, this kind of instability of perovskite is a big pain for the perovskite community. Everybody is looking for how to make their material more stable. And now we are receiving lots of requests from industry that they want to basically work with us. They want to test our material. And we are working with them to make sure that we give them the right technology, we give them the right material that is helping their manufacturing process. So those are basically the way that we are working on our ink, and those are basically the main goal for our technology, to make sure that perovskite lasts long, but also it is a scalable technology. It means industry, also university labs and research institutions use our solar ink as well. But the main goal is to make industry or enable industry to use our solar ink, and they can manufacture solar panels.
Excellent. Being able to avoid the degradation of the product allows for it to be done in almost any environment, but it also does it preserve it longer on the shelf?
Yes, exactly. So for example, like when we make the ink today, we can keep it, let's say, in our lab for up to 100 days. And whenever we use that ink and we make a solar device out of it, the performance of the solar device is the same as when we made the solar device from a fresh ink. That helps a lot when we basically go to manufacturing process, because for manufacturing solar panels, we won't be able to stop the manufacturing process every day, make the fresh ink, then go to the coating process and make the manufacturing process. We need to have an inventory of the ink or material and basically use it continuously. So that is a very important basically need for the industry in order to be able to scale the manufacturing process, so that they can purchase the ink, they can store it, and they can use it over time without being worried about the performance of solar panels changes, day to day. So that's definitely, as you mentioned, the shelf life, what we call it, is very important. And today we have a shelf life of over 3 months.
Which is great, because it allows you shipping time as well as
Definitely.
as the manufacturing. It gives you that window of opportunity that wouldn't be there otherwise.
Exactly. Definitely. Yes.
In the manufacturing process, licensing, how difficult is that process?
Yeah. So when we talk about manufacturing process, we actually, as I mentioned, we're basically projecting two kind of a product. One of them is our ink, and the other one is the solar panel, flexible solar panel, which we call it a PV film. Mm-hmm. So when we talk about manufacturing of solar ink, as far as we can basically predict, and the vision that we have is that we're not going to license that technology. We are going to be the manufacturer of the solar ink, and we distribute it and we sell it to solar panel manufacturers. And we are working with different versions of our ink right now, because there are different type of manufacturing processes, mm-hmm. and the ink need to be compatible with different coating processes. So for example, when we use spray coating, we use one ink that is for spray coating. And then when we use, for example, another type of coating, or let's say inkjet printing, we have a different ink for inkjet printing. And the manufacturing part of the ink, we are taking care of that. The hardest part for the ink was to formulate the ink in order to be able to get the performance, stability, energy conversion efficiency. So that work we don't, at least at this moment that I'm talking to, we don't have any plan for licensing that one. We just sell the ink. Exactly. However, when it comes to the manufacturing process for solar panels, that's where we are going to license the technology to solar panel manufacturers. We will develop that coding process and fabrication process in-house. And we work with solar manufacturers to basically transfer that knowledge to them. And we license the technology, and then when we work with them, we make sure that they know how to basically put the manufacturing process together. So we still work with them until they get all the equipment and get all the process in place for making the solar panels. And after that, we basically collect a royalty based on the sales that they have.
That is great. So how soon will your ink be out on the market?
Yeah, so our ink, we basically have our ink ready. We are sending our pilot ink to different customers. So we basically we started our pilot sales last year. One story about it is that when we started the company like 2 years ago, when we started Solaire, our goal and our focus was just to develop the flexible solar panels. But to get to the flexible solar panels, we had to develop our own manufacturing process, and we needed to develop our own perovskite ink. Mm-hmm. So because we always had that vision that we want to be able to scale up the technology, we wanted to not just develop something that works in the lab, we wanted to be able to take it and upscale the technology. We started reformulating perovskite and play with different formulation to overcome the stability issue. Mm-hmm. And when that happened about like 6 months ago, I was in different conferences. I was talking to different people or presented some of our findings. And then that was the time that we received lots of requests from different research institutions, universities, and industry that they wanted to buy our ink. And at that time, we didn't have any ink to sell. It was just like our ink. We were making it in the lab for our own use. But when we received those interests, we realized that there is this need in the market. So we had a little pivot, and we started focusing on developing the ink and selling the ink. So last quarter, last quarter we started basically piloting our ink. And we're currently shipping samples to universities, research centers, and solar module manufacturers for testing and also for customer validation. And we're hoping to commercially launch the ink by the end of this year.
Thank you very much for coming on with me.
Yeah, it was a pleasure talking to you, Alan. And thank you so much for giving us this opportunity to talk to you and being able to basically talk about what we're doing, and hopefully we will be able to have those thin, flexible solar panels in the market sometime soon.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Bye.
You too. Bye.
I wish to thank Dr. Sahar Sam and Solaire for joining us today. They have a technology this world badly needs, and I hope our listeners and other guests will put out the word about this group of innovators. They are what we need in industry today. As always, please like, follow, and subscribe on whatever platform you follow us on. And Happy New Year!